Hello, everyone. Nadeem here with Mac. It's Friday, and it is time for Chat with Mac. So, Mac, how are you doing, and how do you like this excellent day today?
The day is beautiful. It's absolutely awesome today. I didn't have a chance to go out as much, but it's looking really good. I'm gonna try to obey the law and keep my mask on, but I'm going out this weekend. I have to. Jesus.
Yeah, yeah. It's a good thing we don't have to wear these masks over, when we're doing these remote meetings and stuff.
That is true. That is true. That's absolutely true.
So last time we talked about, I think this is the second chat with Mac, isn't it?
This is the second chat. That's correct. Yep.
Yeah. Yeah, I had so much fun last time. I think we'll do one every week. And
It was awesome. It was
yeah,
awesome. It was
yeah.
a good time to really kind of it was definitely a little bit out of the ordinary for us, but it was so good to kind of have that talk about, talking shop with everyone else. I loved it.
Right, right. Yeah. Yeah, I think people who are watching it, they loved it too. And I'm hoping, eventually what'll happen is over time we might run into a like ask me anything type situation where we might
Yes.
have some customers or some other people involved and asking questions and stuff like that.
Yep.
So, I guess let's get started. What do you have for me?
So a couple of things that's been going on in the world today as far as business is concerned. Let's start with this doozy that's it's been going on. Remember, we talked last week about the shift away from working in the office and going totally remote. Well, Forbes magazine and a few other news outlets were talking about how Prudential has moved their employees from the office into straight remote work. That's it, out of their bigger buildings. It's actually kind of crazy considering we just had that discussion last week. So for us here at PCN, it was a huge turnaround as far as getting our clients ready for remote work. So I just wanted to get a little bit of insight into what you did to get people prepared for that.
Yeah, so a few things that we did. The existing customers, we already had them prepped up and they were ready to go remote. Even though
Yep.
some customers, back in the day, they said, "Oh no, we don't want to do remote. Our people come into the office, and we just want
Yeah.
to come into the office." But we'd had the infrastructure for secure remote access already in place. So we had the routers that we needed. We had the firewalls that we needed. They
Hmm.
were all set up with the correct certificates and everything. All we had to do was switch, throw a switch, and then these users can start working from home securely. Now, I did another video for people who did not have that infrastructure set up. Maybe they're not our customers, or maybe they're a small company, 2 to 3 users, but they have a server, maybe at the owner's house or something like that. So they could use this service called DWService.com, and it's a free service. You can just sign up and get this going. It's not as secure as from an enterprise standard. It's not as secure as if you had your own router, which was
Yeah.
configured properly. So that's the first thing. Is for our existing customers, it was easy. The infrastructure was already in place. We just threw a switch, got users to log in remotely. They were secure, and everything's good to go. Now, that was one side of the equation, right? That was the server side. The other side of the equation is these users were not actually taking company equipment home and connecting using that company equipment. A lot of them were actually using their personal machines. Even if, I've seen instances where some users had company equipment, but when they go home, they're like, "Yeah, I'm not going to bother with that company laptop. I'm just going to log in from my PC at work because it's already set up and I have it set up just the way I want it. It's easier for me to just work from there." So we did see an uptick in support calls because all of a sudden the users who were supposed to use company equipment to connect remotely
We're using there.
wanted to use their personal machines, and that's
Yeah.
fine as long as these personal machines are secure as well. One of the things that we kind of reach out to management and talk to management about is, these personal machines that are now being used to connect to the company network, the company needs to have some sort of control or oversight into these machines, right?
Yeah.
Because these machines, if they're infected or something happens, you don't know where, sometimes kids get on these machines and they go everywhere and all kinds of malware. So the idea is that management should have some kind of stipulation. If you're going to bring your personal machine, then the company has to have some sort of administrative access to these machines. We need to have something to be able to confirm these machines are clean and good before you allow you to connect. And in the last video that I did, I talked about several ways companies are doing this. One is companies are simply saying, hey, if you want to connect from your personal machine, we need to have oversight on these machines. So otherwise, you're not going to be able to use personal machines. So that's a strict way of saying that, hey, my way or the highway, right?
Basically.
The other way some companies are doing it is, hey, we're going to give you an allowance to use your machine to connect to company and do company work, right? So you're using your resources and we're going to pay you for that. But apart from that allowance, what we want is that we want to be able to manage these machines. So go ahead and give us access to oversight into these machines. We will pay you, whatever fee on a monthly basis, and you can use your personal machine, to do company work. So that works out good as well. And then the final deal is where companies are saying, well, we don't want just oversight into these machines if you want to connect from your personal machines. We want total access to these machines. So we want, our mobile device management system deployed and agents deployed on these machines, and we want total control. Only then can you use these machines to log in. Now, there are pros and cons to this last scenario as well. The pro is, well, you have total control over these machines. You can automatically restrict these machines from being able to connect if you detect any kind of malware activity on these machines. That's good. The problem is, what if something happens and a user ends up losing their personal photos that they can never get back? That's the only one machine that they had these photos on. And because of your MDM, maybe something happened, or maybe the machine, detected some malware activity. It tried to clean it off. And in the process, maybe there were some photos that were infected and it got rid of these photos because it couldn't clean them. So it got rid of them. So there's a liability issue there, right? So there's really no simple answer. There are three scenarios that you can use, and I think what we're seeing, what works pretty good with a lot of our customers is users are using their personal machines, and they don't have a problem with company malware control or any kind of control systems in place. Because at the end of the day, it's keeping their personal machine safer for them.
That's true. Yeah.
So they see that, and a lot of times they don't have a problem. And I think a lot of our customers are not even giving them an allowance to use their personal machines. It's just a matter of convenience. Like, oh, hey, you can use your personal machine. Now, the final thing is, and I get asked this a lot, and I covered this a little bit in the last video, is what is the most secure machine that a customer can have that they can use to connect? Well, that's going to be a solid state device like an iPad, an Android tablet, or some kind of tablet type device, which is a solid state, and that's going to be secure. It's going to be the most secure type of device that you can get. Now, there is no such thing as 100% guaranteed secure device. There is no such thing. If you have connectivity, somebody can figure out a way to get in there. Somebody can figure out a way to take control. And there's been, in history, so many different companies have claimed to be 100% secure. And whenever they challenge the hackers, hey, we are 100% secure, you cannot hack us. The next day they got hacked. It's happened over and over again. So, all these systems are man-built systems, human-built systems. If a human can build it, another human can hack it. So it's simple as that.
Good point. Very good point.
So there's no such thing as 100% secure. My perspective is that you got to have multiple layers of security. And what we're trying to do with multiple layers is we're trying to make it very hard for the bad guys to break in. So they peel one layer off, they peel second layer off, and they say, I'm done with this. Over here, there's another company that is wide open. I'm going to jump on that one.
That's exactly correct. So actually, you kind of, and not to cut you off, but you're actually going into a part of the question that I have for you. As far as the security is concerned, I know you're big, huge on security. Maybe you can describe some of the things that we are doing to make sure that the clients at home are safe.
Sure. So remember I talked about multiple layers of security. So here's what the multiple layers are. So number one, there's a firewall and an intrusion prevention system in place at the border of the company network, right? So that's the one thing that's gonna, it's like a traffic cop at the gate. So there's a wall around it. There's one gate, and there's a cop at that gate. If you need to go through that gate, the cop's gonna want to know who you are. Are you really who you say you are? So that's the intrusion prevention system. That's at the border. Now, of course, we go a step further than that. So that gate is not just a gate open to the general public.
Right.
Think of it as a tunnel going to each one of the actual users who are going to be logging in.
Right.
So what you do is what a user does is a user first connects to that tunnel, and then they connect to the company network through that tunnel. So there's an intrusion prevention system, there is a firewall at the border, and on top of that, there is no gate in that wall. There's actually a tunnel going to each one of the people or the users who are going to be connecting remotely. And that's the only place they can connect to the brains, which is the company network, through that tunnel. And they still have to go through that intrusion prevention system, the firewalls, the rules, the ACLs, all that good stuff. So now, even if one of those layers is peeled back by somebody, it's very hard for them to peel back multiple layers, because these are different types of technologies, disparate technologies where, if you are very good at, for example, the RDP protocol, well, you're not going to be good at all the different protocols that we've deployed. You might be good at one or two of them, but we've got multiple protocols. So you're not going to be the best at all these protocols, right? So you're going to peel one, you're going to peel another. Finally, you're going to say, hey, let me find somebody who's easier to get into. And that's what happens. But I do see, and we collect a lot of information from our customers and customer networks and things like that. And that's how we keep them secure. We kind of see, like, our intrusion prevention system, it collects a lot of information as far as the type of attacks that are happening and when it blocks. And, so we gather a lot of this type of data so we can analyze it and get better at it. One of the things that we're seeing is with more and more remote users, there is an uptick in hacker activity to not only break into the corporate networks like they were targeting just before the pandemic started, right? But also to break into individual user machines. My theory behind that is that, hey, if I can break into this individual user's machine, and it's just one person, maybe that person is using that one machine to get into the network of a huge bank that is going to open a back door for me into the bank, right? So that's the theory, is the bad guys are targeting individual users in the hopes of that those individual users are using their machines to connect to their work machines, and they're going to gain access through those user accounts.
Now, you kind of segueing into another thing that's going on, and that's been brought on by COVID. It's actually amazing. Again, another article in Forbes magazine, phishing. They are saying that phishing attacks have risen. Now get this, 667%. That's astounding. It's just a crazy to me. What do you think is bringing? I mean, I know you kind of talked about one element of it, Is there another element that these guys are saying and say, hey, COVID is the perfect cover? What do you think is bringing this on?
So there's, not just phishing. So, and it's amazing, that's a huge growth, when COVID first started, and the Zoom issue happened, and then we saw the growth in Teams usage. That was like 300 some odd percent. We were going, wow, 300 some odd percent. Well, the hackers have outdone it, right?
Yeah.
So they have increased their ratios, their averages by like 600 some odd percent. So yes, not only that, but there's also there's also an uptick in not really hacker activity, but just ads on like YouTube, on videos. They're embedded ads about how to make money. I mean, yesterday I was watching so every time I work out, I watch some video. I'm just doing some research, right? So I'm working out and I'm watching these videos. All the videos that started that had embedded ads in them, the ads were about how to make a quick buck. And I'm like, what's going on? I don't search for things like that. Why am I all of a sudden seeing these ads? And these were mostly YouTube ads. So I think what's happening is these, people are realizing that a lot of people are not able to go to work. People especially working in like, the hospitality industry, they're not able to go to work. So they're going to be in a tight crunch when it comes to money. So maybe that's what they're trying to say. Talking about, I don't know, this one guy was talking about some kind of, some kind of day trading or some kind of trading. And it's like, whatever. It is like, but so not just the scammers and the hackers, but the borderline fringe element of, that kind as well. And, so they're talking about the same thing, how they made millions, but they're still making these ads on YouTube, right?
Those things are so annoying.
So the thing is, the phishing attacks are increasing because that's how the bad guys are going to take control of these remote machines that are being used by individuals to get. So, the theory is, and this is my theory, it is that, so the enterprise has a lot of security systems in place, but all of a sudden, a lot of these companies, they had to allow their users in a quick rush to be able to connect remotely and get work done. Because they were not prepared for it. They were not expecting it.
They weren't.
It happened, and they were like, okay, everybody, you can't come into work tomorrow. We got to get you set up for remote. So the hope is from the bad guys that these remote machines are not totally secure. So I can phish my way into these machines, and then from there I can get into that company data. That's what they want. They want that data sitting in the company silos. So the theory is that, okay, we're gonna do that. We're gonna get access, and we're gonna get that data. Now, here's the thing, though. If your infrastructure was followed any kind of standards anyway, you would be secure to begin with. So here's how I can kind of explain this. Let's say COVID hasn't struck yet, and let's say your email is, let's say with Office 365. You have your data, in SharePoint. You have a lot, your identity is in Azure AD. So all these different things are already in place. All these platforms have a lot of built-in security against phishing and things like that. Not just phishing, but they have a lot of other types of security. Like, for example, I'll give you a good example here. This happened to me personally, right? So I work with Microsoft a lot, and we log into, like I have a direct Teams connection into Microsoft, right? So when we have some calls, I switch from my company Teams account into this Microsoft Teams account. Mm-hmm. So I log into several different machines that are around the world, in different data centers, right? So one day, all of a sudden, I was not able to log into my Microsoft account. And I was like, what the hell? These guys took my access away. It's like, and it was a crunch time situation because I think I had a meeting getting ready to start, and it was like 30 minutes before the meeting. I was like, well, let me test this. And 30 minutes before the meeting is not working. And finally it clicked with me. So these Office 365 and Azure AD and Microsoft 365, all these technologies, they have something in place called advanced threat protection. And companies can set up their protection in different ways. For example, since I log in from these different machines, like I could be in Houston, but then I could log into a machine in Germany. So I know how I work. So we have our system set up to where it accommodates for that. So it knows, hey, Nadim's in Houston, but yeah, he can be logging in from Germany as well. He is that fast, he can just jump into Germany. So what had happened was I had logged into like 2, 3 different machines, and Microsoft's system is configured in a way where it was actually detecting that I cannot be in 2, 3 different places at the same time.
One time, yeah.
Within a certain period of time. It's not possible for me to fly from one geographic region to another, and that's what happened. So now the way they've designed the system is pretty good, because I did not have to call Microsoft support to get them to open me up. No. All I had to do was log into our Azure AD, because it's all one big Active Directory, right? Microsoft internally uses the same Active Directory, right? So I had to log into our Azure AD, and I just had to go in and look at those alerts that it had triggered, those flags that, hey, this user can't be in Houston, San Antonio, and Germany at the same time. So all I had to do was I had to acknowledge it that, hey, yes, this was me. And once I cleared those flags, I was able to connect to the Microsoft Teams site, and I was able to get into my meeting, and everything was fine. So all these technologies are built into the system. They're designed into the system. Granted, a lot of companies may not be using all these systems. I know a lot of people don't even know that these systems exist.
That's true.
But this is what I try to tell small business, that take advantage of cloud technologies, because if it wasn't for the cloud, small businesses will not be able to afford such systems. It is not possible. I mean, think about it. Exchange Online, $4 per month, and you have this geographic protection built in. You're talking like $200,000, $300,000 systems.
That's true.
You won't be able to afford it. For a company that only has 5 users. So for $4 per month, you can't beat it. So cloud is here to stay.
Yep.
Cloud, I know a lot of people say, oh, if it's the cloud, it's insecure. It's not. Cloud brings you the technology that you couldn't afford otherwise, and it makes systems more secure, not insecure. It makes them more secure. Yeah. So and that's why at PCSN internally, we've embraced the cloud back from the day. Like, yeah. I remember, so we used to have one of our guys. He was a pretty senior Exchange guy. So we used to deploy Exchange servers in customer sites and stuff. And back when it wasn't Office 365, it was called BPOS. That's what it was called from Microsoft. Mm-hmm. And we started to deploy BPOS for customers. And our VP came to me and he said, Nadim, what are you doing? You're striking the axe at your own roots by doing this. We make a lot of money selling and maintaining these Exchange servers. If you start moving customers to the cloud, we won't be making all this money. How can we make any money when it's $4 per month? How are you going to make a buck out of that? Mm. And I was like, look, yeah, we make a lot of money, but the writing's on the wall. You know, our goal is not to be profitable. That's a fringe benefit, that we are a very profitable company. That's a fringe benefit, not our goal. Our goal is to bring the best of technology to these customers. And personally, I love working with technology. Just yesterday, I got an email from a customer. I won't name any names. You know who you are. I won't name any names. Anyway, so I got an email from a customer, and he was like, hey, Nadim, do this. And, you're a great businessman, and I love working. And I'm like, wait a minute. No, I'm not a great businessman. I'm a techie. I'm a techie at heart. The business and everything else, that's like a fringe benefit. I love what I do. I love technology. The rest of the stuff, it comes with it. It's just a fringe benefit. But the thing is, that VP, and I'm not going to say his name, he's no longer with the company, and we do more cloud business than companies that are more than twice our size, and by size, I mean their volume of sales and their number of employees, more than twice our size, we do more business than them when it comes to the cloud. And that's why we have very good relationships with cloud providers. I mean, we have 9 gold competencies. One gold competency for a business our size is like, hey, this company has a gold competency. We have 9, right? I mean, so a lot of times when I get on a support call with Microsoft, or sometimes we have some issues open with Microsoft, and we talk to, and these guys would pull up our profile, and it was like, whoa, you got 9 competencies. What are you guys doing over there? And it's like, oh no, we're just a small company in Texas. We're like the flea on a dog that's chasing the fire truck, right? but all of us over here, we love working with technology.
We do.
And the thing is, cloud is here to stay. It makes you more secure. So take advantage of all these cloud technologies out there. Take advantage of OneDrive for Business. Take advantage of SharePoint Online. Take advantage of Exchange Online. Take advantage of Delve. You may not have heard of Delve, DELVE. Take advantage of that. Now, of course, a lot of people watching this, they're going to start Googling Delve, Microsoft Delve, Google it. Delve, and then there's so many other things, Microsoft Stream, Microsoft Teams. There's so many different things out there that you may not even know that you're using, but they're there. One of the things I tell people, people compare with, Microsoft, and they're like, oh yeah, I've heard about AWS and Amazon and all that, but I've never heard of Microsoft. What is Microsoft Cloud? And look, Microsoft's in 2019, Microsoft's cloud investment around the world was more than both Amazon and Google combined. Microsoft is all in on this cloud. So the cloud is here to stay. What Microsoft wants to do going forward is, no matter what device or what platform you're in, bring it to their cloud.
Yeah.
And that's why they're designing everything with security in mind, because they don't want to just go and sell it to a small business. They want the huge enterprises to, wholeheartedly come into their cloud and know that everything is secure, know that everything is certified, don't have to worry about going through certifications, don't have to go through these audits, because Microsoft's taking care of the audits on the data center side, right? A lot of these financial companies, a lot of our customers in the finance industry, like there was a company that we just got them, they got an account to work with the bank, one of their customers. And one of the big things was the bank wanted to do an audit, or, and let me tell you, when banks want to do an audit, banks might get hacked left and right themselves. They may be totally insecure themselves, but they want to make sure that their partners are very secure. So I was kind of laughing with the customer that, what does this bank want this? Look at their own systems.
Right.
But the thing is that when we told them that a lot of the company data, a lot of the data that was going to come from the bank was going to be sitting in Microsoft's cloud and Microsoft's Azure infrastructure, the bank had no problem with it. And I told them, I was like, well, do you want me to send you the certifications for this client? And they were like, oh no, if it's in Azure, we know it. We already have the certifications for it. We're good. So that made life so much easier. We didn't have to have auditors come in and audit all these systems. And now let me tell you, I've been through those audits. The audit is not like you do it and it's done. It's not that simple. The audits are ongoing. Like every year you have to go through the audits. They will check your processes, your people processes. I mean, audit is not something that's that I take lightly. It's a painful process, and I'd get out of it if I could. I would just tell customers, no, go find somebody else to get that audit done, because it's a pain.
Yeah.
But on the other side of things, when we set up these systems, when we set up and maintain customer infrastructure, they can go through these audits and they fly they go through it with flying colors through these audits. There was, it's like I tell customers, don't worry about HIPAA. If your IT guys are doing the right thing, you are already way beyond the HIPAA.
That's true.
HIPAA should be considered if HIPAA applies in your industry, that should be the minimum baseline.
Yeah.
You should already be way beyond that.
Yeah.
If you are having to do things differently just to be compliant with HIPAA and you are in that industry, there's a big problem. There's already a problem. Yeah, so that's the problem that you want to solve. Not that going through HIPAA compliance should be easy if you're in that field. Your IT should already be on top of it. You should already be more than compliant of HIPAA. And same goes with Starbucks or all these other different things.
Sarbanes-Oxley, yeah.
Industries,
Yeah.
So that's the thing. Use the technologies that are out there. I can almost guarantee most small businesses out there, you are not using 70% of the systems that you have access to. If you are on Office 365, you're not using 70% of what you have access to. Now, keep in mind, you are already paying for it. It's not like you're not paying for it. I mean, the cost is included in the monthly fee that you're paying. So you're already paying for it. Might as well use it.
Yeah.
When we set up the backend infrastructures, we set it up from a security perspective. So that's all well and good, so we're taking care of that. But the missing element is training the users how to use these new technologies, showing the users, like we're still trying to get some customers to use Teams. Like one of the things that we do is we can, so a year ago, customers used to come to us and say, hey, it used to be Skype for Business then. Hey, I want to integrate my Skype for Business with my phone system, and it's, can we do the blah, blah. And it was like, oh, no, it's not going to happen. No, it's not going to do. So now we are at a point with Microsoft Teams and all that, we can integrate as long as it's a fairly new system, and it doesn't matter what kind of system, pretty much any kind of IP-based phone system, we can integrate with Microsoft Teams for any customer out there. And it doesn't matter if you have, 50 users or 150 users or 500 users. We can very easily integrate that. But what I mean by integration is, it's one thing to use Teams as your phone system itself. There's a lot of limitations in that, right? So the reporting is not there. The IVRs are limited. There's a lot of limitations in if you use just Microsoft Teams as your phone system. So you have to have your phone system, but then you also want to have the ease of functionality and the feature set that you have in Microsoft Teams. So you can just tell a user, hey, use Microsoft Teams. It doesn't matter if the person you're trying to call is inside the company or outside the company. It does not matter if the person you're trying to call has internet or does not have internet. Just use Teams. It will find that person. It will get you in touch with that. That's why a lot of companies nowadays are integrating Teams with their phone systems. And we've been doing this securely, and very easily we can do this without having to do a lot of tear down and rebuilding of Teams infrastructure itself. We do it all together. I mean, it's without making major infrastructure changes within Teams itself. And it's easy the way we do it. Doesn't break the bank either. But the thing is, these systems, you are already paying for a lot of them.
Yeah.
And it would be so much more beneficial to the company if you spent this $100, and I'm just giving an example. You spent this $100 to implement these systems in place. Spend another $50 and train your users. Yeah, spend another $50, and because at the end of the day, that's what's gonna, make you more profitable. That's what's gonna get work done faster. That's what's gonna make your users happier. Is if they know all these systems exist, if they know what they can get done faster, quicker. So these are things that that I grapple with, is trying to make business decision makers understand that it's not money wasted money that's spent in training users. It's an investment.
Yeah.
And then, the question comes up, and I'll have these conversations with business owners, and the question comes up, well, yeah, we're going to train these users, and as soon as they get trained, they're going to go over and they're going to find somebody else, they're going to find another job. And they might. But the thing is, if you don't train them, do you really want to keep those users?
Yeah. That's a great question. I mean,
so the thing is, if the answer to that question is yes, we don't want to train the user, but we still want to keep them, that means that user is not doing a job that a human has to do.
Yeah.
There's not that much intelligence involved in that job. So if it's a repetitive task, automate it. Don't have a human doing it.
That's it.
Automate that. Don't have a human do it. The human should only be doing stuff that requires human intelligence.
Right.
Not artificial intelligence, human intelligence.
Right.
And that's the shift that we're going to see. I mean, right now we're in this time where AI is just blowing up.
Yes, it is.
Artificial intelligence is blowing up, and a lot of people are afraid. They're scared. They're like, all these systems are going to take my job. They're not. That's why they're called artificial intelligence, not real intelligence or human intelligence. None of these systems can replace the human. What we've done is we've kind of lowered ourselves to a place where, to a place of doing things that anybody can be trained to do. You can train a dog to do certain things that some of these users I see are coming in and doing every day at work. It's like that guy stamping a piece of paper all day long, stamping the paper. A monkey could do it, right? A person should not be doing that. A person should be doing stuff that human intelligence does. Everything else, automated. Now, where am I going with this? Look into Power Automate. And it's another Microsoft technology. It's built on top of Azure infrastructure, but look into that. It will automate a lot of stuff, and there's a lot of things it will do that, so now people have got some homework. They're gonna Google Delve, they're gonna Google Power Automate. But there's a lot of things. Oh, another thing that they can look into is ATP, Advanced Threat Protection. That's something that really provides good protection from people, no matter what system they are using. So you could be using your own servers, your own infrastructure, but still use ATP, Advanced Threat Protection, behind it on the background, and it provides you a level of protection that it's just gonna blow you away. It's amazing what it does. I'm not going to go into too much detail of it, but it's similar to the intrusion prevention system that we use,
right,
where it uses AI to kind of extrapolate what's happening, what's going to happen. So it can kind of look a little bit into the future and see, okay, if this happened for the last 2 weeks, now next week, this is what's going to happen. And it can kind of extrapolate that. All this AI that we see and talk about now, it's only there because of the cloud. Because we have so much compute capacity in the cloud, we can run these AI systems. If, for example, our intrusion prevention system, if I had to do something by, buying a bunch of servers to build that up, I don't have enough money to do it. It's only because I have access to the cloud systems on the back end that I can pay on a per hour basis that we're able to build and make this system available to users, to customers. Without cloud, it wouldn't be happening. It wouldn't be possible.
Wouldn't be happening. No, it wouldn't.
And it's the same thing that's, with a lot of, I'm going to segue into a little, we'll keep it for another day. I get off on these tracks, but real simple. So it was, somebody had asked me, hey, there is a problem with the compute capacity of a robot, a self-contained robot. There's a problem. You can only have so much compute capacity in a robot to make certain decisions. And I was like, oh no, a robot really can have unlimited compute capacity. All you need is a link to a data center somewhere, right? All you need is a link to the cloud, and that robot will have unlimited compute capacity. Why are you, like boxing yourself in? Why does the compute need to happen within the robot? Send the data somewhere else for processing. Kind of like what Tesla is doing now is, they're gathering this autopilot data, they're sending it to their data centers, they're processing it there, and then sending out the results to all the machines. So all of a sudden, all your cars are becoming more and more intelligent because of this data center. So crowdsourcing is what you want to do. But anyway, so I hope that answers your question, Mac. I love to. I can talk for hours, and I know I'm gonna, people are gonna start walking off, and they're gonna roll their eyes and say, "What the hell is he talking about today?" But I get excited about technology anyway. So what's next? Do you have anything else for me?
Well, I do. So we know your excitement for technology is abundant. Everybody can see that, but. Let's kind of segue into something else that you're doing. Not only do you own and operate PCSN, you also have a mechanics shop or an automobile shop and a dealership. And I don't think a lot of people know Nadeem outside of what he does with PCSN, and also motorcycles. I found out you have a huge love for motorcycles. So tell us a little bit about that.
So let me tell you how I got into motorcycles, first of all. So, I was always into computers. I was always, working with my computers and stuff. And my wife used to make fun of me, and she was always like, "You're always into computers, you're always working, you need a hobby." And I was like, "But this is my hobby. I love doing this. This is not work for me." And she was like, "Oh, no, you need a real hobby." So that's how I got into motorcycles. So it's a real hobby, right? But the workshop and all this. So actually my stepson is the chief operating officer at the workshop, and the way he used to work for us for a while. He works with computers as well. Now, everything, people think about cars and they're thinking about a wrench and a hammer, right? The bigger the hammer, the easier the work is, right? Not true. So cars are really rolling computers. That's all they are, is rolling computers. I mean, any current car out there is going to have at least 5 or 6 different computing systems in there that not only are they computers, but they're also networks. These computers have to talk to each other. Like the body control module has to talk to the engine control module, which has to talk to the transmission control module, and everything has to work together in real time. I mean, in real time. The engine control module cannot say, "Okay, I'm at 5,000 RPM, and the transmission sitting there, I'm gonna shift maybe tomorrow." That can't happen. It has to be real time, right? So these cars are really very complex computing systems.
They are, yeah.
You'd be amazed at how I can look at a problem with a car, and I can kind of give a good guess at what it probably is, because of the logical way of thinking when we're working with computers. And that's what these cars are. They're just thinking through things logically. They're going to follow the logic. I mean, all there are computers. So that's how that thing started, was because we just working with computers. They're just an extension, right?
Yeah.
So we and of course my stepson, his dad was an old time, the traditional style mechanic, and he's passed away now. He had some medical issues, but I remember towards the end there, he would call, my stepson's name is Philip. He would call Philip, and he would say, "Hey, Philip, my truck's doing something, this and this. Can you bring your computer and hook up to it and tell me what it is?" So this was, this guy, all his life, he's been working with cars, right? But towards the end there, he couldn't figure out what his own truck was doing, because it was all computerized. You couldn't just listen to it and say, "Oh, okay, I think this valve's not closing right." No, you got to hook up a computer to it, and the computer's going to tell you, well, this valve should be opening at 0.003 milliseconds, and it's doing it at 0.004 milliseconds. I mean, the tolerances are so close nowadays that, just a few milliseconds of difference is gonna just,
cause a problem,
bring your performance down.
Yeah. Wow.
So, that's how that started. And of course, you have an auto workshop, you gotta have an auto dealership, so that worked out in that. And then, and I still have my motorcycles, it's, and they're fun. I mean, I have a Goldwing. It's I think my oldest vehicle. Now get this, the oldest vehicle I've ever owned is my Goldwing. It's an '08.
Really?
Not a brand new, and it's, bar none, it's been the most reliable vehicle that I've ever had, bar none. It doesn't give me any problems. The only thing is it eats up tires, but that's my right hand.
I remember the first time I remember we were going to meet a client. I think it was Delta Processing, and you pulled up. It was like, yeah, I'm on my motorcycle. And it was just like, he drives a motorcycle. It was just so weird for me because none of my prior bosses did that.
Yeah, no, I used to ride a lot. I mean, anywhere where we had to go, I would normally take the motorcycle. But I think I'm getting kind of slow in my old age, and now a lot of times I have to think twice. It gets so hot and humid, and then I started having some skin issues with the sun and all that. And my dermatologist, she's like, oh, well, you gotta stay out of the sun. You gotta do this. And I'm like, but now a lot of times I'll think, should I take 4 wheels or 2 wheels? Yeah, 2 wheels are a lot of fun, but man, it's hot out there. That AC is going to be so nice. I'm not as enthusiastic about motorcycles as I once was. But I still, I still have them, and I still enjoy them and love them. And the little bike, well, I call it a little bike. It's actually bigger than my Goldwing. It's a Ural. It's a Russian bike with a sidecar. And I love working on that thing, not because it's reliable. It is reliable, by the way, but because it's so simple. It's old technology, and I joke with people, when that EMP hits the atmosphere, my bike is the only bike that's going to be
just going to go.
With electronics in it, will be dead.
That's funny.
It's got that old style,
carburetors.
It's got carbs. It got, I can adjust them, and I got extra jets for them when I go, up in the mountains. I got extra jets. I mean, that's a lot of fun. It's just a lot of fun.
Awesome.
I mean, the brakes. There's no hydraulic in the brake, in the foot brake. There's no hydraulic in it. It's the only hydraulic is your ankle. The more you push on it.
Jeez.
Yeah, it's but I don't use the brakes much anyway. Just downshift it,
Right.
But yeah, so the auto dealer, that led to the dealership, and it's a used car dealership, by the way. I do have access to all the auction places around, the wholesale auction places around the U.S. So, a lot of times, friends will ask me, hey, I need a car. And I didn't know, people are so specific about the cars that they want. Me, like when I bought my truck, it's a '09 GMC diesel truck. And when I got it, the dealership asked me, what color do you want? And I was like, I don't care. And I was like, I don't care. As long as it's got a Duramax diesel and Allison transmission, I don't care. And he was like, oh, okay. He, it looked like, he looked surprised. And now I know why, because people are really picky about
extremely picky.
Exact spec. And then at the end of the day, they're not going to keep this car for more than 2 years.
It'll be gone in about 2.5 to 3. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, it's, so one time somebody asked me, it was like, do cars not last as long as they used to? I'm like, no, cars last longer than they used to. It's not that. People get bored with their car. Their cars are perfectly fine. People get bored with it. It's like when I got my truck, I got it with the idea that it's going to be my last 4 wheels. All I'm going to spend my money on is motorcycles. And that might still be true, but the truck has, I mean, And the reason I got the diesel is because it's so easy to get more power out of it. You know, it's so easy to work, and it's not a stock truck anymore. I mean, I've modified it, I've worked on it. It's just fun to work with. Things you can do with it. Just gives you a lot of leeway as far as, you know, getting more performance out of it. But anyway, we're getting way off topic, and we're taking so much time.
We are, but before we do go, we have one thing we need to talk about. You started a every Thursday, 8 a.m., you started a small business roundtable, and it's been absolutely awesome to see complete strangers come to the table and kind of talk about how they're dealing with this crisis. So just real quickly, what made you decide that let me bring people together so they can talk about, you know, how they're dealing with this?
So here's how this idea came about. You know, we work with small to medium-sized business.
Yeah.
Our core is 20 to 50 user companies, right?
Yep.
So that's our core. And one of the things I realized, you know, when we hit that pandemic, number one, nobody had gone through it. Nobody I know had gone through a pandemic before. It's first in a lifetime, and it's going to be probably for a few generations, I think. But anyway,
yeah.
So it was like nobody's been through that. Nobody knew what to do. I mean, everybody was kind of like, you know, chickens with their heads cut off, just running around, bumping into each other, right? So I was like, look, let's have something where we can all come together and share ideas. And that's what humans do. I mean, I think that's what separates humans from everything else.
Absolutely.
Share our ideas, what works for us and what didn't work for us. So we don't keep making the same mistakes.
Over and over
learn
again.
From each other.
Yeah.
We might make new mistakes, but at least we won't make same mistakes. And when we make new mistakes, we will share them with others. Right. So that was the idea, was to bring all these businesses together to figure out what works, what doesn't work, help each other out. And, you know, I didn't even know this. So I moved from, you know, Houston, Harris County, into Montgomery County, Magnolia. And I didn't know, but I mean, I'm finding customers, you know, just the other day, I won't name any names, but one of our customers, the CEO, the new CEO, the old one's gone, but the new CEO, I just found out he lives in my subdivision.
Oh, really?
I don't know. I was like, wow, small world. And so, you know, it's like, if we can help each other out, I think that's what it's going to be. It's not like, you know, nobody's going to come and help us. You know, it's got to be, we got to help each other out. And that's why I do a lot of the things that I do. You know, it's like, you know, if customers are having trouble paying, I'm like, don't worry about it. You need a payment plan. We can do that.
Just that recently,
We're not going to stick on interest on it. You know, you can't pay me now, pay me later. You know, so we're trying to, you know, work it out with everybody. You know, somebody needs help, you know, hey, you know, I'm willing to help. Just the other day, one of my neighbors, so we have like a Facebook group, right, for the subdivision, and she has a small business, and she was like, you know, hey, Nadim, it's not business related, but my husband had some photos on a hard drive, and something happened with that hard drive. We can't get those photos, and it had photos of his ex-wife, which had died of cancer. And she was like, you know, it'll be so awesome if we can get some of these photos back. And I was like, well, let me look at it. You know, I picked up that drive. You know, she put it in her mailbox, and I was like, okay, just put it in your mailbox. I'll pick it up from there. I picked up the drive, and while I was working, I just hooked it up to my machine, and I got the data back, and we retrieved like 8,640 some odd images.
Wow.
And that was all the images that were on there. So there was no loss of data. And you know, she was just ecstatic. She was like, oh, it's, you know, it's going to be so good for my husband because, you know, he lost her, and now he lost all of her photos and all that. So it's those little things. And I wasn't going to charge her, she's my neighbor. But the thing is, she gave me these cookies, so she owns a company that they make these desserts. And oh man, it was the best cookies I've ever had. There were all kinds of flavors, but they were just so moist and soft. And I was like, oh wow, But anyway, so it's all about helping each other. The more we go into the future, we think that we are growing apart, but it's just becoming a global village. That's what it is.
That's all it is.
And it doesn't matter if it's a business or personally or somebody just broken down on the side of the road. You just stop and help, and that's what it's about. That's what it's about. So, and I think, the round table, I think, there's a lot of good info there, not just what works, what doesn't work, but also, some of the companies, they need help with the PPP loans. They need help with the idle
We've
funding.
been talking about that. Yeah.
So, I don't know, this week it might be too late for the idle funding, but that's like $10,000. That's $10,000 in your pocket that you don't have to pay back. I mean, there are some restrictions on it, what you can use it for, but you don't have to pay back. I mean, it's like, look, your competitors are going to take advantage of these incentives.
They
Might
are.
as well you take advantage of them too. I mean, that's what competition is about, right? To be competitive with your competitors, if they're taking advantage of some of these things, if you don't know and you're not taking advantage of them, that's something that's going to hold you back.
Yeah.
So that's what it is about. It's helping each other out, and I think that's it's been working out great. And
it's been awesome.
In our roundtable, look, as a company, we are great. We don't owe anybody any money. We have money in the bank. That doesn't mean I'm not going to apply for these idle funding and this PPP funding. I'd rather have more money in the bank. I'd rather have it than not have it and need it, right? But one of the things that I do say to everybody is I think we need to tighten our belts.
We
the
do.
Downturn is coming, and it's going to be bad. I don't think it's a downturn that a lot of us have seen before, but it is coming. So we're ready for it. On the other side, it's an opportunity. It's an opportunity for the small guys because the large guys cannot move as quickly as the small guys.
That's true.
It's an opportunity for the small guys to outmaneuver the large enterprises. I mean, I was just talking to a friend of mine who works at Siemens, and he was like, hey, Siemens used to have $1 billion annual travel budget, and it's like all of a sudden it went to zero. And all of their he works with the team that works in the oil and gas field. I mean, his team is done. I mean, he there's nothing for him to do. So I was just joking with him, and I was like, well, maybe you need to start applying for some jobs at maybe Facebook or Amazon or something like that. and so he's in a management position, and he was like, look, he's like, he used to be a techie guy. He used to be a programmer, and now he's in management. He was like, hey, Nadeem, if I had stayed in programming and stuff, I could have probably gotten a job. Right now, I'm just a cost center. That's what I am, is a cost to these companies. Wow. I don't make the money. I just manage all these people who make the money. But it's these people who make the money, not me. I'm just an expense.
Wow.
So he was like, how am I going to find a job when I'm just an expense center?
That poor guy.
I think it took a lot of time. It went way overboard. So maybe everybody will be watching this in little pieces over the weekend, right?
Hey, we're here to talk. It's always a good time. I mean, we don't really get a chance to do this, and I think it's just great to kind of talk about these things. I think on the other side, people just don't realize that, you got a personal life, and through the eyes of someone that has done this as long as you have, it gives them insight. So it's great. Yeah. It's great.
Yeah. No, it does. It's it's so much fun for me to just talk about stuff and
absolutely.
And I'm sure a lot of users out there know this, that we are recording. This is live recording. We don't edit. I don't edit anything. I just put it up onto YouTube, and it is what it is. I mean, I'm not gonna cut out anything. I know sometimes the quality is not very good and all that, Because it is cloud-based. If there is bandwidth constraint, it's going to show up in quality. But
You'll
hey,
see it.
It is what it is. Like a lot of the good producers out there say, it's all about the content.
It's all about the content. And we have some pretty good content, so
yeah. And for people listening out there and watching us, if you want us to talk about something specific, let me know something specific about technology, and it doesn't matter what. I mean, I can talk about pretty much a lot of different technologies. You want me to talk about rockets going to Mars? Let's talk about it. but anyway, so yeah, if there's any topics you want me to talk about, I'm all for it. By the way, people have been asking, how do we do the recording? I'll just give you real quick. We use Microsoft Teams. We do a meeting, and we just start recording this meeting. At the end of the meeting, the recording gets pushed up into Microsoft Stream, and I basically just transfer it from there into YouTube. That's all I do. There's no editing. There's no nothing. The closed captioning is automatic. We don't do anything else to it. It's just put up into YouTube, and that's it. So it's pretty much raw as it is. I mean, think of it as live, except you're watching it in the future. So I think that's it for today. I think we've been here for about an hour, and that's that's like almost double the time of last meeting. I hope that's not a trend. For next time we don't want to do 2 hours. Let's try.
No, we don't. We'll try to keep it down.
So, hey, I appreciate your time, Mack, and it's already. I
love it.
Have a good weekend. I think it's going to be nice and sunny, so enjoy it.
You too.
I'll do the same, and stay safe out there.
Yes, sir. See you guys. Thank you for joining us.
Have a good one.